Hey guys, what is up? My name is Paul, and welcome back to another episode of Poll Talks. Today we're going to be taking a look at the current state of the 2020 presidential election. Today is Thursday, October 22nd. We are now 12 days from the general election, and things are starting to take shape. There are still things that are in question, but with that, let's dive right into the numbers. First, going to place the safe Republican states on the map. There should be no surprises about what states are included here, more so just the states that are left out at this point. Both the Nebraska at-large 1st and 3rd district are safe. North Dakota, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Utah, West Virginia, Wyoming, Kentucky, Louisiana. And that should be everything. If I miss something, I'll come back and pick it up when I notice it. And then moving on to the safe Democrat states, the states that are expected to go for Vice President Biden. We've got the West Coast out here, most of New England, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, D.C., New York, what else? Virginia, Illinois, categorizing Colorado as a safe state, the Maine at-large, and the Maine 1st district. Also, after the safe states, we are at 207 electoral votes for Vice President Biden, and we're down to only 89 safe electoral votes for President Trump. Moving on to the likely seats, we see Alaska as a likely seat for President Trump. This race has been holding steady for the month of October. It's just a little bit of a narrow margin for President Trump. Indiana looks the same way, holding steady, but a narrower margin for President Trump. That's pretty much what all of these likely Republican states are for President Trump. South Carolina, if you haven't watched my Senate video, I believe that the Senate race in South Carolina is going to be more competitive than the presidential race in the state of South Carolina. Moving on to the likely Democratic states, the states that are likely to go for Vice President Biden, we see one of the first ones is the state of Michigan. Michigan is a state which President Trump won in 2016 by a little over 10,000 votes. And now it is solidly in the likely column for Vice President Biden. The next state is that of Minnesota. This is a state which Secretary Clinton won by 1.5 points in 2016, but it is now, the polls are saying that it is an 8-point lead for Vice President Biden. Nevada is a likely state for Vice President Biden, as is New Hampshire. This is right on the cusp of the 12-point margin to becoming a safe state for Vice President Biden. It's at 11.5 points. And then we see Pennsylvania, a state which President Trump hoped to be more competitive in, a state that he won in 2016. This has been called by 538 the tipping point state. We are seeing that Vice President Biden will more than likely win the state of Pennsylvania, being up by, on polling average, about 8 points. Wisconsin is a state that President Trump won by 22,000 votes, and it is now, much like Michigan, flipped into the likely column for Vice President Biden. And then the Nebraska 2nd district is also likely for Vice President Biden. And there we go. That's the race. He doesn't need anything more than his safe and likely states. According to the polling data as we stand today, he does not need anything more than these safe and likely states to capture the presidency. But let's continue on. This is normally where I would place the lean Republican states on the map, but there are no lean Republican states, according to my categorization, at this time. And I'm just realizing that I forgot New Mexico as a safe Democrat state. Even leaving that out, Vice President Biden still won the presidency. Moving on to the lean Democrat states. We have the state of Arizona. Arizona had a BC rated poll that just came out today that had President Trump as +1 in the state of Arizona, but the 3 most recent polls, other than that one, had Vice President Biden anywhere from 3 to 5 points up. And the polling average is about 3.5 points, which is why this falls right in the middle of the lean Democrat column. The next state is the state of Florida. The electoral math is getting very small for President Trump at this point. Florida has narrowed up in the fall. It was pretty wide open earlier in the summer. It was pretty close earlier in the summer, but it has definitely narrowed up. A poll that was added this morning has Vice President Biden up by 7 points, but the fact that this race has been so close, I'm keeping this at a lean Democrat. And then we move into the main 2nd district, and then the state of North Carolina. I believe that the state of North Carolina could still go either way. It's been moved into the lean column from the tilt column, but I still believe that it is very close. There was a Washington Post ABC News poll that has this as a +3 race for Joe Biden, and for reference, that's an A+ rated poll. And that is all of the lean states. Tilt Republican states, we have the state of Texas. Yes, Texas is a tilt Republican state. And even categorizing it as a tilt Republican state could be seen as incorrect. They're out of the 3 most recent polls, 2 of them have Vice President Biden up by 1 point, and the third has this as an even race. Right now, I can't categorize Texas as anything other than tilt Republican. I need to see more consistent polling having Vice President Biden up, or at least even in this state, to categorize it as a tilt Democratic seat. And then the last tilt Republican seat is that of Ohio. Ohio is one of the closer races, like that of Texas. 538 has this at a +0.8 for Vice President Trump, which their polling averages consider polling that is taking place within the state, as well as the national approval rating, which has the national polls have Biden up by 10 points with a 52 to 42 margin. But the polling that is taking place within the state of Ohio has President Trump up by 2 or 3 points. So I believe that Ohio is going to probably be the closest race that we see in this election. And that's it. So the remaining 2 states, the state of Georgia and the state of Iowa, I am categorizing as tilt for the Democratic candidate Joe Biden. The polls in the last 2 days out of Georgia should say everything about this race. There have been 2 polls in the past couple of days that have said that this race is even, including an A+ rated poll. And then there are 2 polls that have, one poll has Vice President Biden up by 7 points, and then another poll has President Trump up by 11 points. So this race is all over the place. It could legitimately go either way. I believe that this right now falls in the tilt Democrat column because there are more polls that see Vice President Biden with a larger lead, as well as the fact of just national approval rating having Vice President Biden higher than President Trump by 10 points. And the same can be said for Iowa. Iowa has an even poll, 3 A+ rated polls that have Vice President Biden up by 3 points, and 1 A+ rated poll that has President Trump up by 1 point. This race has completely flipped over since April, when President Trump was up by 6 points. And this is my electoral map. This is where I stand. I have Vice President Biden taking the presidency by almost 200 electoral votes, 357 to 181. It's becoming more and more clear as more and more states move out of the likely column and into the safe column for Vice President Biden that this race could turn into a landslide. But there's also a lot of states that are still very close and could still go either way. If we take, for example, the state of North Carolina and shift that into the Republican column, Iowa, Georgia, Florida, he would still need the state of Pennsylvania, and it would still be a victory for Vice President Biden. I personally do not see this map happening as it stands right now. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to Poll Talk Check, please click that button. Or if you want to watch another one of our videos, you can also click the video that is on your screen. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you guys next time.